Well, the Brewers ran into another tough pitcher, and the best that they've seen in the last 3 days. Skubal wasn't messing around against the Brewers on Monday night, and the Brewers had nothing for him. We'll get to that. Yelich sits and a whole lot more coming up next here on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You could say that this game was over in the top half of the first inning before the Brewers even got to bat. Alexander gave up a couple of runs in the top half of the first inning on hard hit balls. Brewers were down 2-0, and that was that. Detroit Tigers went on to a 9-1 win. Brewers picked up a meaningless run in the ninth inning. They were never in this game. And gosh, this is one of these games, if you're a fan and you went to it, it's like, man, you paid for this? You paid for this? Well, you saw one of the best pitchers in baseball in Skubal, but he's pitching for the wrong team. Pitching for the Detroit Tigers. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Yeah, we've all been to games like this before. You sit down in your seat and you're down early against a pitcher like Cy Young Award winner like Skubal, and you have no shot. He went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits. The Brewers really had nothing going for them. And on top of that, the Brewers aren't doing much offensively. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday, when they placed #1 starters, you could argue, with Corbin Burnes, and he's the #1 starter in this league. And Arizona's actually got two #1 starters. So they did nothing against Burnes on Saturday, came right back on Sunday, and they got nothing done. And Monday, facing this guy, Skubal, and man, what a tough left-hander he is. Got to see him up close and personal, and he is good, man. He is good. That you can see 18-4 last year, and man, this guy's going to make himself some coin when it's time. And the Brewers, really, they had Alexander going against him, and Murphy said this after the game. Alexander's put in a position that, which I basically said, that he wasn't expected to be in. Alexander was brought in to be a reliever on this team, not to be making start after start after start. He's there out of necessity, and he's trying to suck it up. He pitched into the fourth innings, and had some bad defense behind him, but he had a lot of hard contact against him. Let's not sugarcoat this. Let's not look at just like the earned run. He had some hard hits against him. I know Murphy after the game was also saying, well, his numbers don't indicate. No, I don't. No, he lost the game. And when you're facing Skubal, who pitched his best outing in the 4 outings he's had this year, you got to be spot on. And Alexander needed to be how he was against Cincinnati, but he's a bullpen guy. He's a guy, you can count on maybe, in long relief. But we're trying to count on some of these guys to get big outs and starts for you. Alexander, I put a tweet out. I said, the Brewers are going with some guys who are not major league pitchers. Alexander is a major league pitcher. He's just not a major league starter, but he's pressed into action for the Brewers because they have nobody to turn to right now. And we're going to get that maybe some reinforcements are on the way. But the best part of the night was Elvin Rodriguez throwing 5 innings and sucking up some innings. Sure, he gave him another home run ball. He's given up 6 in 19 innings so far, or whatever it is. But the home run balls are destroying him. But Elvin Rodriguez is one of those guys who shouldn't be starting on an opening day, should not be starting a major league game, but should be out there when your team is down 8-0. And he was great in that role today. I like Elvin Rodriguez in that role. Down 8-0 against a Cy Young Award winner. Put Rodriguez in and let him finish things out there. So that was fine. When Alexander didn't get the job done, they threw Rodriguez in and saved some bullpen. Fine. The last thing you want to do is down 8-0, waste the bullpen when you have no shot at coming back. And Rodriguez was the perfect guy to spell the bullpen, and he gave up 5 innings. I liked him in that role. And I'm not patronizing him or anything like that. I'm just saying that's where we are that's where we should be with Rodriguez. That's how good he is. Bring him into a game like that. Alexander, he's trying his best. Again, 2 starts ago, took a no-hitter into the 6th inning, and that was great. But you're not going to, he doesn't have stuff like a Skubal or a Zach Gallen, who we saw on Sunday, or a Burns. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. Although, according to, God, who did I hear say that? Might have been Hinch, the manager of the Tigers, said that Alexander calls his fastball the Express. The Express, of course, is Nolan Ryan. I don't know if he's joking on it, but Alexander, hard contact in the 1st inning, bad defense behind him. Combination, Brewers lose 9-1. Yelich did not play, and Murphy said before the game that was a managerial decision not to put Yelich in the lineup. Now, Yelich, it's not like Yelich came to him and said, and Yelich is never going to do this, I don't want to pitch. I don't want to be in the lineup today. I'm struggling, and I'm facing a tough left-hander, one of the best in baseball, maybe the best in baseball, with Skubal. No, Murphy said, well, yeah, Yelly, you're hitting 143. This is what the conversation he probably said to himself. Murphy said, well, Yelly, you're hitting 143. You're not doing much, and you're not going to get fat against a guy like Skubal. Things are not going to pick up against a guy like that. So we'll rest you. We'll give you a day off. And Murphy said the usual, well, he's played in 15 of 16 games. He's DH in 12 games. He's not going to play 155 games. Murph is always going to have his guys back. Although sometimes, like tonight, Murph will be quite frank on stuff, like after the game talking about getting blown out. We'll get to that in a second. But Yelly, tough lefty, was not going to get in the lineup tonight the way he's struggling. Batting 143. Yelly, I saw a piece. I think it was the Journal Sentinel. Talked to him. Said he's been through funks like this before. Been through these things before. And they were talking about the hard hits and the metrics and all that. You can talk about your metrics and your hard hits and exit velocity and all that stuff. I look at a guy who's not producing for the Brewers. That's how I look at it. I look at 143, tapping out the second base, striking out more than he did last year, and a bunch of different things. So, and including the old Freeman eye test, Brewer fan eye test, says me, Yelly, you're not having a good year. Whatever that exit velocity is, I don't care. Yelich is off to a slow start. I'm not saying he's not going to turn it around. I'd be stunned if this thing, absolutely, completely stunned, if he stayed like this. And I know Brewer fans are all upset about Yelich, but he will turn it around. Now, he got to face Flaherty coming up on Tuesday. We'll get to that too a little bit later on. But Murphy, one more thing about the game, and I kind of touched on this. He says, yesterday he had a great quote, or was it Saturday? One of the games, he said, to be a good team, you're going to have to be the number 1 starter. Well, they didn't beat Burns. They had him on the ropes a couple of times. Gallen got him for 2 runs in the 1st inning on Sunday. And then this guy, Skubal, 4 hits over 7 innings. And the guy was blowing it by the Brewers. But he said tonight that he thought this team is going to turn it around. He says we're a good team, but good teams cannot get blown out like we're doing. Now, he mentioned 4 blowouts. If you want to throw in the Reds game a couple of Saturday nights ago against the Reds, they lost 11-7. That was one of those games they were chasing the whole game. And they got down big. So 5 actually blowouts this year. But Murph says, they had a good point. Good teams don't get blown out like this. Been blown out 5 times in the first 17 games. They've had a 4-game losing streak to start the season. Now they're in a 3-game skid. The last 2 in Arizona and to start off this homestand. But do we chalk it up lately to the great pitching? Or the Brewers just going through one of their classic, can't get out of their ways offensively? Churio, I know some of that's been made about the on-base percentage and all that is below is like right around 300. He's not walking and all that. Obviously, and Murph talked about this as well. That's got to change. He can't go 75 at bats or whatever it is and not walk. No, you got to walk. The rest of the team's doing a nice job on it. Chourio, if he's going to take that next progression, and we all think Chourio is great, but I mean, 70 some odd at bats without a walk is pretty different. It is. It's pretty different. But he's going to have to take some walks. Never thought we'd be sitting here talking about a player. Well, that guy's got to draw some more walks. He's just not getting. When have we ever talked about a player who's just not drawing any walks? No walks this point of the year. 17 games in. That's a little odd. So, but the on-base percentage is low. Chourio took an offer on. Let me see here. Let me pull this up exactly. Chourio. And I'm doing this as the Cubs are getting destroyed by San Diego after an early lead. Chourio's numbers. He went 1 for 4. 1 for 4 in the game on Monday night. So got the 2 more with the Tigers, including facing Flaherty. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. Contreras, an honor for him. How about that? Contreras, who struggled, was terrible to start the season, bounced back and got an award awarded to him today. We'll get to all that coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. The NBA playoffs coming up. Tuesday night they start. FanDuel giving new customers an incredible way to get on all the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel, you place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets. That's the most that they've given out so far. $250 when you place your first $5 bet. You don't even have to win it. Well, if your bet wins, you get $250 in bonus bets. So you place your $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get a $250 bonus bet. FanDuel makes it so easy. You're live betting. Maybe you want to be crazy and take like the Dodgers minus 1,700 in a game. Now you might get burned like it is like somebody could have done on Saturday night when the Brewers got off to a 4-0 lead in the 9th inning and they were like minus 10,000. But the bottom line is with FanDuel, you win that first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets deposited right in your account. You can use it from a bunch of different things. And of course, they're live betting, they're live props, same game parlay, all with a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com. Claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here. Whether you're getting us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We're the number one Brewers podcast on the internet. There's you great Brewers fans out there. And of course, if you listen to the audio version of this, go to our YouTube page, our growing YouTube page, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and we'll drop an episode every day on Locked On Brewers. The alerts, whether you're on the audio platforms or the video, will always alert you when we drop an episode. 9-1 loss. 9-1 loss, dropping the Brewers to 8-9. Looks like the Brewers will stay 2 games out behind the Cubs in the division because the Cubs are getting trounced after having an early lead in San Diego. All right, reinforcements are on the way, it sounds like. Now, we're not rushing back Woody. His next outing is going to go 4 innings, and that's going to be Thursday in Nashville. And then Friday, Myers is going to pitch for Nashville. And they're hoping for 65 to 70 pitches and shooting for Myers possibly for the San Francisco series early next week, which would be great. Obviously, be on a pitch count and all that. But Myers, Tobias Myers, God, it would be great to have him back. 65 to 70 pitches. He'll pitch on Friday. And then if all goes well, sounds like San Francisco next week. That's what they're shooting for. Ashby had a bullpen session on Tuesday. He's going to be ramping it up here in the next week or so, live hitting in Arizona. And also Blake Perkins still shooting for a May return as well. He's been out. Contreras. How about that? William Contreras, who just got off that horrendous start last week. It was 9 for 23, hits 3 home runs, and is the National League Player of the Week. What a turnaround. Contreras off to one of the worst starts in baseball. Bounces back, goes 9 for 23 last week, and is the National League Player of the Week. Take some questions here. I want to get to some questions. And for this, for those of you who messaged me on Twitter, appreciate it. I had a lot of people like this post. The Brewers pitching guys tonight who should not be in the MLB. The Brewers are pitching guys tonight who should not be in the MLB. 58 of you now have liked it. Term Limit says get used to it. John says it's a GM problem. Daniel says the hitting is the problem. 100,000% says Nick. Ryan says they don't have much offensive talent. That's the problem. It's been for a long, long time. Yeah, you're absolutely right. People keep screaming about the pitching. Pitching. But I've said this the longest time. It's offensively where they struggle, like we're doing right now. Struggling. Left all that offense in Colorado against that bad team last week. But weekend, tacked on some runs late Friday, Saturday, Sunday, missed some opportunities. And a quiet night against Skubal on Monday night. They don't have much offensive talent, and it's been a problem for a long time. Pitchers and Pitchers says, got to find a way, Chuck. This team has no excuses. They've got veterans, they got young kids, and they are talented with playoff experience. Time to play ball. It's that simple. Get back to the winning edge. Detroit looks like your typical gritty Brewers team tonight. They do. Yeah. Took advantage of errors, didn't make any mistakes. And Detroit wins the game handily. Detroit's a good team. You know, they got hot. They were sellers at the All-Star break last year, then got hot and got the playoffs. I mean, they sold off Flaherty, who we'll see on Tuesday night, and then they got him back again. They sold him off to the Dodgers, got him back, and the Detroit's a good team. Detroit is a good team. They've been bad for a while, but they're good again. Dr. Grandin says that the rotation's got to get healthy. Bullpen and third base are horrible. Yelich looking bad. Yeah, the bullpen. Third base looking really, really bad. And I'm not going to get into that today. Let's see. They are the budget-friendly Brewers, says threat level midnight. Brew Cruz says, when you're a cheap owner, what do you expect, Chuck? Trevor says, welcome to small market baseball with a team that has some injuries to boot. Hey, man, Trevor, I know all it is, and I know you're regular. I know what all it is. It's like to be a small market team. Ben there does it. Devon says, Collins, Capra, and Dunn can go bye-bye at any time now. Yep. Just terrible pitching, says Space. The rest of the team folds when the rest of the team folds when we're down 2-0. Yeah, that's true. You get down 2-0, you know, the Brewers will say, well, we have a lot of fight in them. Yeah, get down 2-0, and we'll see that fight. So third base, Yelich, getting healthy. Bullpen's got to get better. No news on McGill. And got to get these guys back into the rotation, namely Myers. Woody, no timetable yet, but Woody's showing progress. We talked about him yesterday. Ashby encouraged about him, although as a starter, what is Ashby going to get you? He's probably better than, well, is he though? Better than Alexander? Chad Patrick. Got to keep throwing him out there, though. I think Chad Patrick might have earned his stay in Milwaukee with these 3 outings that he's had. We'll see. Brewers, I feel, got to throw a little bit more trust in him. Saturday night, wanted to stay in there, I feel, or Sunday, wanted to stay in a little bit longer than pitching into the 5th inning. Was it Saturday? When did he start? Oh, Sunday. No, he started Saturday. Freddie started Sunday. Yeah, I feel like the Brewers pulled him a little early on Saturday night. Still trying to earn the trust of him. But all those things got to happen. And the Brewers are going through a funk in a few different areas. But still, I'll say this again. After an 0-4 start, they're hanging in there. They're 8-9. Not like anybody else in this division is running away. The Cardinals are 8-8. The Reds are 8-8. The Brewers are 8-9. And the Pirates, 6-11. You can forget about them from day one. All chasing the Chicago Cubs. who, like I said, are getting thumped as we're doing this podcast, getting crushed by the Padres, who just do not lose at home. But the Brewers are hanging in there, despite all the injuries. Yeah, easy to discourage. As we all know, as Brewer fans, it's easy to get discouraged. Us long, frustrating Brewers fans. But what can you do? I think they'll bounce back. And I still think they're the best team in the division. But, man, got to cool off the Cubs somehow. And hopefully tonight will be it. I mean, the Cubs took 2 of 3 in Los Angeles against the Dodgers this past weekend. I just don't want the Cubs to get out to a lead in this division. I feel like the Brewers are still the better team, but, man, I'm glad to see the Cubs lose tonight. Like I said, I watch the division. I look at the division standings every day. Glad to see the Cubs lose. I know it's early, but it's good to see the Cubs lose. We come back, we'll look at Tuesday's matchup. See how they fared against, have fared against Jack Flaherty. And Quinn Priester makes a second start for the Brewers. All that and more coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. PrizePicks, another great sponsor here on Locked On Brewers. Baseball, hockey playoffs heating up here. There's no better way to turn your sports knowledge into real awards than with PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. Maybe you want to pick against someone like Yelich who struggles right now. PrizePicks, you could do that. You can pick more or less on at least a combination of 2 on their player projections, and you're in. You can combine players across sports. You can combine baseball, basketball, hockey, baseball, you name it. You could win up to 2,000 times your cash. Basketball, let's say you want to go Luka Doncic, over 28 points, Tatum, more than 8 rebounds, something like that. Or you want to go Yelich, under hits, and Chorio over hits, something like that. Download the app today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's PrizePicks. PrizePicks. Run your game. And down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers. Jack Flaherty on the hill. He's made 3 starts this year. Got a 1.62 earned run average. Coming off his best start of the year last Wednesday against the Yankees, went 5 1/3. Did not allow a run. Jack Flaherty. And looking at some numbers, nobody really has had substantial amount of bats against Jack Flaherty in this lineup. Yelich, though, the only one with any amount of at-bats that's worth a darn. Yelich is 9 for 33, 273, and 2 homers. And everybody else, nobody's had more than like 5 or 6 at-bats against Flaherty in their career. Quinn Priester makes a start, his second start. Of course, Brewers traded for him a week ago. And, with him staying in the rotation and getting another start, that meant Rodriguez goes to the bullpen. Priester earned another start after going 5 innings, 1 earned run, in solid start in Colorado. Another game where they didn't get the offense going really, and then the bullpen got crushed in the bottom half of the 8th inning in Colorado. But Priester pitched well, I thought, in his first start. He'll get another one coming up on Tuesday, 6:40 with that first pitch on Sirius XM. It's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Brewers. As always, everybody, go to your favorite audio platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple. Some people have asked me if I'm going to be at the games this week. I was not at the game on Monday night, but I will be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, probably Friday night covering. And if you see me walking to the press box, or you see me walking around, or Sunday I'll be sitting in the stands by home plate, please stop and say hello. I'll be there for Easter Sunday's game. And of course, with the Easter Sunday game, you can be assured that the Brewers are going to show the Easter Sunday game from 1987. Oh, we all know that. We'll get our history lesson coming up on Sunday at AmFam Field. But yeah, please, if you see me at a game, by all means, stop and say hello. Some of you asked me if I was going to be out there tonight. I was not. I wish I was, but I'm going to be out there this week. You see me, please say hello, hello, hello. Always looking forward to talking to you great Brewer fans, because you're the ones who make this podcast. You guys are the ones who support this podcast, and I want to meet Hear what you guys got to say. Again, you get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. And of course, go to our growing YouTube page, hit Locked On Brewers, search Locked On Brewers on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Thanks for making us your first listen to every day. Your second listen, go to Locked On MLB. I was on one of their shows on Monday night that we recorded. They'll be released very soon. We got together a bunch of other folks and kind of did a roundtable on Locked On MLB. So check that out as well. I'll be dropping that on my channel when it's released. All right, everybody. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have yourself a great Tuesday, everybody.